You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here today and supporting the podcast. I really appreciate it. A lot of times you may not know the guest, and I think you'll learn a lot and you'll get a lot out of this guest. DJ Qualls has been around a while, and he's so open with his thoughts and his feelings and what he's been through. And he's had a really cool career, and I really love sitting with him. So if you're here, and you don't know, I appreciate you sticking around. There's some guests that you'll know their name right away. Some names you won't, but you'll go, oh, I know that guy. I'm like that guy, Ryan. Mm-hmm. People look at me and go, I think I know him, but no, I met him at Vaughn's. It's a grocery store. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for, being here. If you want to follow us and support us, Patreon is a platform that you can support the little podcasts and keep them going like ours. So if you want to join and help this podcast, join Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you. And I really appreciate it. There's like different tiers, and I send boxes and all blah, blah. Also, the Inside of You online store has a bunch of merch and Smallville scripts and things that you can get signed and blah, blah, blah. So check that out. Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath, I have to mention, that's my picture of my doggies. You just do one cap of this in your dog's bowl of water every day, and their breath is going to be a lot better. It's Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath on Amazon. And the Fart Book, of course. My Fart Book comes out October 22nd. So please get a book. It's fun, and the illustrations are great, and it's a great little story. There it is. I hope you'll get The Talented Farter. I spent a lot of time on this, and I really, really hope you like it too. And there's a lot of great stuff. Also, I'm on Instagram at the Michael Rosenbaum. On the link tree, you can see where I'm going, cameos, blah, blah, blah. I really appreciate you. And Ryan?
Yeah.
How much did you love New Jersey?
I loved New Jersey.
Did you have a great time?
I did. I've never been to New Jersey as a destination before.
In the con. It's crazy, right?
Perfectly good reason to go. It was great.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I got to see you do the thing that you do.
Yeah, The Thing That I Do. Wasn't that a movie, That Thing You Do?
Oh, I love that movie.
Was there a movie called That Thing You Do?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Is that with Tom Hanks' son?
No, Tom Hanks directed it, and he was also it's the one about the one-hit wonder in the 60s.
Oh, yeah. Is that really good?
Yeah.
All right, I'll check it out.
It's great. The song is incredible. That it's based on. Like, it's based on like a one-hit wonder song, and like they had like somebody like it's
all right. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to check it out. All right. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get inside DJ Qualls.
It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. I love how, I've been trying to get you on this podcast for a while. I asked you a long time ago. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then schedules.
Yeah.
I mean, you were just telling me that you're leaving to the UK and then you're through November.
Yeah, I'm booked every single weekend until November. I mean, I think it stems from, like, my dad called me lazy growing up, and it really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And
did he call you dumb too?
No, he never called me dumb.
I got dummy.
Because I'm smarter than him.
Yeah.
And he knows it. And I love my dad, but parents he was a, teenage parent. I'm from the rural South, and, people are like 15, 16 having children. So you sort of don't know how to, you're responding to your child like it's somebody like your same age, right? And being called lazy as a child, like now when I turn something down or that I could do, I'm okay with turning things down that don't make sense for me, or I'm
right.
But if I can do it and I don't, it's sort of this.
You feel guilty.
I feel guilty and ungrateful. And I hate that. Like, I hate that feeling more than anything.
I wish I felt that way. I think I might have felt that at some time in my life. I guess the older I get, the more I feel like I want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
I want to be, as long as if I don't have to do something, I don't feel bad. I guess I feel bad that, it's like, I'm not calling myself talented, but the saying like, wasted talent. Like I tend not to work as much in acting,
right?
Because I'm not really interested in a lot of things.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to do something, because being on set, I've talked about this ad nauseum, but like, it's long hours. It's not as glamorous as everyone thinks.
Of course. And you spend 9 hours of your day
more
in a cameraman's crotch doing what, like off camera for somebody.
Yeah. And it's, it lost its luster a little bit, but I think if it's the right thing, I'll do it. But you love acting.
Well, no, I'm exactly where you are right now. So during the pandemic, my buddy and I formed a production company. And so we just finished our first movie last year.
What?
And yeah, it was crazy. I had 77 employees and the keys to the stage. And then during that, I got offered a recurring role on Chuck Lorre's new HBO show, Bookie.
Wow.
And I was like, well, that makes sense. I'll do that. And the shock of going there and not being in charge was profound for me. And then I realized I've already had this experience. I've been acting for 25 years, and you longer. You
Probably, I guess longer. Yeah, probably. I mean, not counting college, but probably 20, 30 years.
Yeah. So it's 25 years for me this year. And I just feel like I've had this experience, and unless I really like the thing or something practical, like I've never been to that place before, or sometimes it's about money.
Or you like the director.
Yeah, there's a myriad
whatever.
of reasons, but more than not, there's a myriad of reasons for me not to do these things, and especially when people are trying to day play you for a
bigger
whole
part.
episode. Yeah. I would be so, because people respect you with money, and that's how Hollywood works. And
Yeah.
if it's not art, and you're not being paid also when there is money available,
Then you feel bad.
you feel like that you're being overlooked and not valued.
Yeah.
And then your brain does this. I'm actually saving you money if you think about it, because it's going to be done quick and right.
Yeah.
And because there's not that, and because that would, I would be worried that my behavior would suffer, and I don't want my behavior to suffer. So that's also the phrase that I've developed over the years about how to kind of get my way sometimes. I'm worried about if this happens, my behavior will suffer. But I try not
Meaning how? Like if you
that I'll just not be in a great place. I've never been awful on a set, but the fear of that, I think, drives me and them when it's not a good thing. So I realize if it's not good for me, I don't need to do it. But the work that I'm accepting now is appearance work. That's easy. It pays a lot. People are stoked that you're there.
That's true.
Supernatural fandom is absolutely rabid.
You love doing that. See, I was just telling
do.
Ryan that I've never met someone as humble as you, really, truly, in terms of
Thank you.
when you go to these conventions, you give these fans your all.
It's so expensive for them to get there, and the time away.
And I thought I did, but then you go above and beyond where you do these shows and these, you just, I feel like you just are so grounded and know who you are at this point in your life. And maybe that wasn't always the case.
It wasn't always the case.
know, but I feel like, of course you're doing this and you're making money and the fans are loving it. You're getting reciprocated. They're getting reciprocated in such a positive way that of course you're booked up till November. And of course you're doing that. And it's pretty incredible.
Thank you so much. I think it's so brave of people who, meeting people that you admire can go really awful. Like when I first came to Los Angeles, I could not believe that Hollywood was doing this. Come over here, be one of us. I couldn't believe it. Everything was blowing my mind. And the majority of the people that I came into contact with, I obviously was a fan of.
But you didn't feel like you belonged and you were surprised that you were now in the cool group?
Yes. I mean, separate from the work though, when I arrived my first day on set, like I didn't know the terminology, but I knew that I was home. It felt like the one place in my whole life where I absolutely belonged. I was like, all of this makes sense to me. But it's the business is not the work. It's all the stuff around the work that sort of that exhausts you, that surprises you, that disappoints you, but it can also be so much more amazing than you ever imagined. And I realized early on that, I was in a car once with Alfre Woodard, and we were going to a benefit for Artists for a New South Africa for the premiere of the movie Sotsi. Gavin Hood directed it. And I'm in the car, and I wanted to stop at 7-Eleven for some gum, and I went in and kind of got mobbed. And I got in the car prickly because for some reason, oh yeah, I remember what it was. I think I had just done Hustle and Flow and had gotten some career respect for the first time in my life. And they were asking me to do the road trip dance. And I mean, now I have different feelings about that. But at the time I was like, am I ever going to get past this? And I was only 5 years into my career.
Yeah.
but it just struck me wrong. So I was acting, I guess, a little moody, and she was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I'm fine." She's like, "There's something wrong. What happened at 7-Eleven?" And I told her, and she's like, "Then you should just stop acting, because if the
That's part of it.
because if the gift isn't showing up in, like, you're there for people in moments when they need you, your first dates, you are also somebody's bad after their bad day. That is the thing. That is actually the gift, is that you get to be present for people and not be present for them.
Yeah.
And if you can't deal with that, then you should stop doing this."
I agree.
And it really struck me hard, and it changed me. And it's so great to be this
Thank
age.
God.
Of course.
Thank God, because I think something hit me too, where everything changed, and it changed who I was and who I wanted to be. I stopped and I thought, who's the man you want to be?
Right.
Who do you want? How do you want to be perceived? And, there's a lot of things. There's purpose, and there's, we deal with so much that we get so caught up with it at a young age, especially in our careers, where I feel like we're going with that. We're Hollywood actors, and we're this, and are we better than people? And it's just this thing that's ingrained, and you're like going to events and this, and I must be cool. And if you don't get out of that, you turn into a miserable bastard.
Of course.
And I think we all go through those stages where I finally said, okay, I know who I want to be. I want people to have when they meet me, say, I really enjoyed my encounter with him. He was a kind person. I think that's what it is. I just want to be more kind. The older I get, I just want to be as good of a man as I can be.
Of course. And that is my knees creak a little bit now when I walk. Like, I
How old are
definitely
you?
feel like I just turned 50.
You look great.
My
You could pass
dermatologist
for,
is
like,
amazing.
Dude, you really?
Yeah. Oh my God, he's the
Who's
best
your
guy ever.
dermatologist?
Dr.
Dr. Facelift?
No. I've never had a facelift.
No.
I've never done anything like that, but I've done a little filler, a little Botox.
What do you do filler on? What can you do filler on?
Just my cheeks, because I'm so thin.
Could I do it?
You don't need it. But my body type gets gaunt.
Right.
But I like my guy. I'm blanking on his name.
You don't have to give me his name.
He's right on the hill in Studio City.
But yeah, you look great.
But once I had a little filler left over, and I've been doing this for like 20 years. So whenever all this stuff was invented, that's why people look crazy, is because they go too far, because it's too
Always go
late.
too far.
You cannot fill a flat tire with all of this stuff.
You could be 27.
Thank you. And I also think that
Am I right, Ryan? It's unbelievable.
Looking in the mirror and how your brain registers your appearance affects, I think, also your aging. When I had cancer, I had
When you were a
cancer.
kid, right?
Yeah.
Hodgkin's lymphoma?
The prognosis was pretty grim because they caught it kind of late. And my pediatric oncologist, who I still keep in contact with, told me that the drugs worked so much quicker than they ever expected, so much better than they expected. And it was because you tell a 14-year-old they're going to die and they will not believe you. And so I think that translates to a lot of things, and aging is one of them. You see people retire and their bodies disintegrate. I look at photos of myself in 2019, or just right before the pandemic and right after, and those 2 years of inactivity crushed me. And I aged quick. I aged fast in those 2 years. And I think that that's a big part of aging. If I don't have gray hair yet, and I do nothing to
I only
combat
have it on my beard. No pubes, no
I
head.
thought I had a gray pube once. I was in the shower and my whole world crumbled.
Oh, come on. It's just a great pube.
No, but it's a harbinger of things to come. And I was like, what next? My dick's not going to work? Like, what's...
well, that will happen.
Well, of course it will.
They have things for
But
that.
I wasn't prepared for it then. And that is the thing that bothers me the most about myself, is that I'm always like, I have to fight to not, think that I've hit a banana peel and I'm skidding toward the grave. Like, I have to fight that. And
that's kind of an obsession.
Yeah, it really is. And whenever little changes happen against that I'm not cool with, it crushes me for a second. And I was in the shower and looked down and saw a gray pube, and I was like, fuck no. And then I went to pull it out, and it was I had a little white chihuahua at the time, and his hair would get all over me.
So it was your chihuahua's hair on your balls?
Yeah. No, it wasn't on my balls. It was at the top of my pubes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really I have pretty bad eyesight, so I can't really tell what's happening at the
You wear
bottom of
glasses,
my balls.
contacts?
I wear glasses.
Inside of You is brought to you by JCPenney. Ryan, the fall is here.
Wow.
And JCPenney has fashion for literally everyone. That's right, folks. Fashion for everyone. You can go to JCPenney or shop online. But look, I know a lot of times, JC, we'll get into the brands. They have so many great brands, but a lot of times I wear sweatpants on this show. In fact, I'm wearing them now and a t-shirt. But when I go out, I want to look sharp. I want to be trendy. I want to be cool. I want to feel good about myself, more importantly. And that's what happens when I go to JCPenney. JCPenney really covers it all in terms of fashion. You get the biggest brand names in fashion all in the same place.
JCPenney really covers it all in terms of fashion. I mean, I can get the biggest brand names in fashion all in the same place.
Liz Claiborne, Stafford, Ryegrass, Worthington, SJB, Arizona, so much more. Women's and men's trousers, sweaters, denim. It's just endless.
You can also explore JCPenney Beauty and find your favorite beauty brands too, or discover new ones to add to your fall beauty routine.
It's all here at JCPenney. Shop JCPenney or go to JCPenney online. JCPenney, make it count. Inside of You is brought to you by Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. There's a lot of products out there, and this product seems to be doing the trick for a lot of people. Thinning hair is different for men and women, so a one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth doesn't cut it. Nutrafol has multiple formulas for men and women that are tailored to different life stages, such as postpartum or menopause, and lifestyle factors such as plant-based lifestyle, so you can get just what you need.
Physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients, Nutrafol helps support hair growth from within by targeting possible key root causes of thinning: stress, hormones, aging, nutrition, lifestyle, and metabolism through whole body wellness.
And while many supplements rely solely on ingredient studies, Nutrafol clinically tests final formulations to ensure their efficacy. In Nutrafol's own clinical study, 72% of men saw more scalp coverage after taking Nutrafol men hair growth supplement for 6 months, and 86% of women saw improved hair growth after taking Nutrafol women hair growth supplement for 6 months.
With a Nutrafol subscription, getting help building a hair growth routine is simple. Purchase online, no prescription required.
Automated deliveries and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, you can save up to 20%. You'll have access to free naturopathic doctor consults, and a Headspace membership is included. Get results you can run your fingers through. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code INSIDE. Find out why over 4,500 professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code INSIDE. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code INSIDE. The Hodgkin's lymphoma when you were young, you stated that it's why you thought you were really skinny and your body kind of...
Well, it is why.
It is.
Mm-hmm. I lost 60 pounds over the course of 3 months and never gained it back. My chemotherapy drugs sped up my heart a bit. It sped up my metabolism, definitely.
Which is probably a good thing.
It's adriamycin is the active ingredient, or it was the medicine, and I think the active ingredient is arsenic. And I'm not sure it's legal anymore. At the time, it was brand new. That's the things that like cancer treatment, it's all guesswork. Medicine is guesswork, and chemo works because it kills all fast growing cells. That's why you lose your hair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a time in my life, things were happening so quickly that I couldn't get my mind around it. And I think that's what saved me. I had to turn down a guest spot once on ER because of the medical tubing. I can't see that kind of stuff. Like, somebody told me that they think they broke their leg the other day, and I got completely weak.
You can't deal with that.
I can't deal with it.
So you don't like horror movies?
I love them.
But you don't like real shit.
I don't like Saw. But I love being jump scared.
Me too.
I love horror movies.
Look around you.
Yeah,
I
watched them all like this. I became friends with Guillermo del Toro. I worked with him and got to go to his house and saw all like the props and stuff. And I was like, just the whole time I was like, this is so amazing. You're nuts. But he loves it so much.
That's amazing.
And Greg Nicotero, I've worked with him, and he loves all that stuff. Do you know him? He's the
yeah. Let me ask you this real quick: were you popular in high school?
No,
not at all.
I look like I was 9 feet tall and weighed 10 pounds and was bald at one point. Like I look like an alien.
Were you picked on?
Oh, relentlessly.
What would people say to you?
So also I was gay, and kids may not know.
I didn't even know you were gay until I looked it up. I had no idea you were gay.
Yeah, but I did, and knowing that,
but no one else did.
No, I couldn't, because I would be harmed. And so I saved all summer to buy a car between my 15th and 16th birthdays, and I bought a 1985 Pontiac Sunbird with no air condition in the rural South, like in the middle of nowhere. And I live in hill country. It was a stick, but it's what I could afford. I was so proud of this car. And then the first day I drove it to school, though, somebody keyed in my hood.
Oh.
So that is what it was like.
What was that feeling? Did it break your heart?
My first thing was, I have to show my dad this.
Did your parents know you were gay?
No.
Nobody knew?
No.
And
they couldn't know.
And you didn't come out till 2020?
No, I can't. I've been out since 19 or 18. But not here, because it wasn't cool when I got here. My very first press junket, the guy who was our shepherd, our executive producer, a very famous director producer, told Sean William Scott he almost didn't hire him because he thought he was a fat. And so that was my shut your mouth. But that's the way it was. And it wasn't until I wasn't out at work until I think 2015, and just because I just didn't want to deal with it. I mean, but then one day I realized, why should I have to be at craft service and hear a bunch of homophobic shit and wrecking my day when I've done nothing to cause this? And so then I started. Then I was like, hey, I don't want to hear that. And I get it. It's guy talk, saying and all that stuff. It's guy talk, and they don't think about the context of it. But I don't want to hear it. And it wasn't. And it wasn't until then I was like, you know what? I wouldn't correct you in front of a group of people, but I definitely will pull you aside.
Just say, hey, I'm gay.
Yeah.
It's insulting.
Yeah, I was like, why? Why would you need to do that?
Yeah, it's the same thing if somebody was going, oh, don't Jew me. And I'm right
I would
there.
And the thing is, all that stuff.
I would go, hey, I'm a Jew. I'd make laugh. Yeah. Go, hey, I'm a Jew, just so you know. It's
and I've done that. Hey, I'm one of those words that you're saying.
Yeah, I think everybody's used words and things amongst close friends. No one's perfect, but it's also, you're on set with
my job.
People. Like, no one should be doing any of that.
And that's one of the things that I am cognizant of, owning my space at my work. I'm there to do a job. I'm hired because I do that job well. And I deserve respect for that because I give it.
Yes. You earn it.
And I don't believe in retroactively punishing people. I mean, we're looking at things with different eyes now. But because we do look at things with different eyes, that shit doesn't fly anymore. And I won't. Our locations manager on our movie said something, and I had to have a hard conversation about it, and because it offended somebody else, and it was something that I wouldn't have put up with if it was said about me.
Yeah.
But it's old man stuff too. Like, I would never dream of saying nice tits to somebody, or, hey, that's a good bulge you got there, buddy. Like, or whatever the shit that
Are
people
you insulted
did.
if people say things like, that's really gay?
No, I say it. Context is everything too.
That's so gay.
Yeah, I say it all the time.
Right.
No, I'm not easily offended at all. What's not realized is we do this thing now. Well, nobody cares. Well, everybody cares because we're still fucking talking about it, and people are still being harmed for it. And also, it doesn't matter. Or maybe just don't do it because, like, people, when they're like, well, now we can't say anything. It's like, well, why would you want to say that? Because you don't know the trauma this guy growing up where he grew up had to deal with, and what he had to overcome just to get to this place, to be at this job. So I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not a thought police person. I do look at context. I'm not going to be on you about everything, but general stuff. If I'm hearing 9 times from you when I'm trying to butter a bagel,
it's who you are.
I don't want to hear that.
It's also who you are.
Yeah.
If you're using it like that, religiously.
Of course.
Let me ask you this. Were your parents supportive and excited about you getting into the acting industry?
They thought I had lost my mind because I was in law school. And
law school?
Yeah, I went to England and became qualified to be a legal clerk there. And I was working at a mergers and acquisitions firm in the city, and came back to Nashville and got a job as a paralegal law clerk, and then was in law school and just hated it. Couldn't do it anymore.
You know, you're really smart, but you're lazy.
I'm so lazy. Yeah.
But go ahead. Go
It
ahead.
just, one day I was like, I can't believe that this is what is going to be the rest of my life.
I think we all have it. I have the other issue. I have like the dummy, the stupid, the not bright, because I heard it all the time from my parents. I heard it, and I just believed it from my teachers. And no matter how much you fight it and you go to therapy and you realize, look, how could I have done all these things if I'm just stupid, if I'm dumb?
Well, you couldn't have.
You realize logically that's not right. That's not true about yourself. But it's something that's embedded so deeply that it comes out sometimes, and I get embarrassed by, not knowing certain things or not being able to. It's just part of me. I don't think I'm a brilliant guy. I think I'm like, relatively smart. I'm a little above average. I wouldn't say like I think I'm incredibly witty. I think I'm funny. I think I'm talented. But I don't look at myself and go, God, you're a goddamn genius.
It's so interesting, the messages, though, because if you look at this from this camera, right, from the wide shot, and look what you've done in your life, like, and
I know,
you know what I mean? If you step
I
back
know.
from it,
It
do you know
doesn't
how
make
hard
any
it
sense.
is to be here and do this in
Yeah.
any capacity, but much less have bought a house from it, to do well.
But you know why? Because in my mind, I'm like, well, I kind of got lucky. They're still going to find me out. I've really beat the system.
But it's really impossible to fall upward for 30 years.
Yeah.
It's not likely. And usually the not likely answer is wrong.
But something will happen sometimes where I'll feel like I own something, like on the set, like my performance, and I'm just so in it and I'm so great. And I think to myself, God, I wish this feeling would last, this confidence, and then one day it's the opposite. And I just want to fly out to a remote island and get away from it. And I feel like I'm worthless and I'm all these things. So it's this juxtaposition of feeling really good and also feeling really ashamed. It's really weird that I've always felt that.
When you go through large periods of time or like long periods of time when you are in public, right? When you're either at, doing a convention or doing a movie and you're with people a long time, do you feel the need to hermit afterward, to be alone? See, I do, and it repairs it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm busy, and then everybody, and then look, I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but at these cons, everybody asks me to go to dinner with them and get drinks.
Right.
And I always say I can't because I just want to kind of go back, have a meal, and go to my room and unwind.
It's a tough energy exchange.
I just can't do it like everyone else can. They can just go out and drink and hang and, after a long day, because I give so much like you do to the fans that I'm exhausted.
Right.
Because it's just nonstop. Where are you from? What are you doing? Oh my God, that means so much to me. Hearing stories, signing pictures. And maybe it's part of me. I've always said this. I have celebrity friends. We all have celebrity friends. And I have some good celebrity friends who I really love. But I don't hang out with a lot of celebrity friends because I feel like I'm not as comfortable as I am with people who are my friends like Ryan. Like Ryan and my friend Tom, who aren't actors and but are also funny and witty and call me out of my shit. And so I think I used to only want to hang out with actors and big stars and be in that group. And I'm like, now, and I used to compare myself to everybody. Like, I wish I had their career. I wish I looked like that. And now I somehow, in a great way, I don't. And I look at everybody like, I don't want his career. That guy's the biggest actor in Hollywood. Great looks.
I would hate that.
Millions of dollars. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I want to be me, and I want to figure out me to give myself the best life and figure it all out, and hopefully at the end say, hey, I did it right. I finally figured it out. I don't need $20 million a picture. I don't need $5 million. I don't need $1 million a picture.
Yeah,
I don't need 500,000 a picture. I just need to make a good living, be with great people, and enjoy my time here.
I'm similar. But I don't hang out with a lot of famous people either. I've done that. I was there at the birth of TMZ. Like, I was in that group of young Hollywood kids who did the teen comedies, and then so you did back then. The formula was you did a teen comedy for scale. If it hit, you got $1 million for your next movie. I was in that.
Did you do
yeah,
that?
The New Guy.
You made $1 million
on The New Guy. Yeah,
$1 million they gave you.
Yeah.
I've never made $1 million on a film.
So it was
Not even remotely close.
But back then, TV and movies were so separate. There were different casting directors, different whole everything, and
Different ballgame.
And I was only doing movies.
No streamers, none of that
None
stuff.
of it. And also that made us all know each other. And so if you were up for a part, at a movie at MGM and your buddy got it, you were happy for him because you knew you were next, because there weren't a lot of us. So I didn't feel a sense of competition with my fellow actors. I felt, and also because we all came up in the time of especially LA nightlife, where it was one bar, one night. So
Like, who were some of the guys you hung out with?
It was the guys I hung out with, like Channing Tatum was in my group. Paul Walker we used to appear together every year at MTV Spring Break when it was in Cancun. We would go on after Carmen Electra's
They'd
dance
fly
party.
out, put you up. Great.
Yeah, you felt like you had sort of, you felt like, it felt like high school to me. Like finally I was one of the popular kids. But I didn't really drink or do any of that stuff until I was in my like early 30s. But it was like anybody who was in the movies during that time. Rosario Dawson, I was in my friend group. I saw everybody so much. It's really anybody who was famous in like 2000 to 2007. And so then there was this thing where all of a sudden, like Us Weekly became a huge deal. And so there was something, it was the equivalent of having social media followers now. They were called magazine tears. So you would be photographed entering and leaving bars. And every night of the week had one bar. Pantera Sarah ran LA Nightlife. Yeah. She ran LA Nightlife.
Dublin's and all the places.
And so you knew where to go without telling or like contacting anybody.
And no one was videotaping everything unless the cameras were there. But like, it was such a different style.
Yeah, and then TMZ showed up. And so
ruined it.
But it made us all get closer because we
protected each other.
Yeah. And then we learned how to monetize it. Like you would call TMZ on someone with their permission. So that became a thing for a while. And then that got out of hand and it bit us a little bit. But it was being young here, having access to things for the first time. And that felt really good. And now I think it's because there's so many outlets for media, the friendships aren't the same because there's so many people doing it. You can't know everybody.
Yeah.
In sort of your graduating class.
And don't you feel like I wasn't popular in high school? You weren't popular in high school. And so I guess at that age, you just want to be around popular people and feel popular, like the in crowd. It's right. And then what happens is then you get some fame and now you're hanging out with all the popular kids, but that wears off.
But it was the way to get jobs though.
Yes.
I had a meeting with the head of casting, Christian Kaplan.
I love Christian Kaplan.
And he told me at this point in time, he was like, if it's between you and another guy for a role in a movie, then the other guy has more magazine tears, it's going to be him, which is the equivalent of followers now.
Yeah.
Because it made you look popular. I remember when I got punked. Did
Dax punk you?
No, Ashton did. And I was mad because it put me in a situation where I had to be really like, I had to defend somebody, but they cut all that stuff out. So it made me look like I offered to fight someone. And I was really angry at the experience, but the outcome was it made you look popular. It made you look famous. There's a line in Heathers where Winona Ryder says, "These are people I work with, and our job is being popular." That's what it was. I knew it though. I recognized that.
Yes.
And I liked these people, but they weren't my best friends.
But then you grow out of it.
And you don't want to do that anymore.
Especially in the times we have now. It's just like,
I don't want to go to a Hollywood
if somebody
party.
says, hey, like I was invited to this thing and big directors and this and that. And I just was like, my first thing was, I'm not going to have fun. I'm going to have to be on.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel uncomfortable. I'm going to feel, it does. And then I thought, is it good for you if you just stop by for an hour? So I'm still contemplating that. I'm thinking, I really don't want to go, but I might.
I rarely go to stuff like that.
You'll never see me at events.
But I used to.
If somebody goes to ask me to go to a premiere, I always say no, and I get asked a lot. And you know why? This made a lot of sense. First of all, I always feel uncomfortable going to someone else's premiere that I'm not a part of at all. But I bumped into Denzel Washington years ago. I go, Denzel, I'm a big fan. do you have any advice? He goes, yeah, I do. I don't do a Denzel, but he goes, never go to anyone else's premieres. You don't need to go to that shit. Just go to your own. I said, oh, cool, thanks. 6 months later, I was doing press for this movie Urban Legend I was promoting. And
I love that movie.
it's such a fun,
I love it.
silly movie. I love. Thank you. I walked out and I see Denzel. I go, Denzel, and he kind of looks at me like, yeah, what's up? I said, I met you 6 months ago and you gave me advice. And he goes, what I tell you? I said, you said never go to anyone else's premieres. That I don't need to see that shit, just to go to your own premieres. He goes, yes, I did. I remember that. And I said, well, guess what? I'm going to my premiere tonight for my movie. And he goes, all right, man, all right. But guess
awesome.
what? I go, what? He goes, I'm not going. And he gave me a wink and he walked off. And I just remember, it's like, I have no business unless it's like
If it's a friend,
a really dear friend,
Yeah.
I would go. But like, other than that, I'm not my age. And I go, don't email me premieres. I'm
Yeah.
not. Unless Steven Spielberg says I'd like Michael to attend, I'm not going.
right.
I don't need to. I don't need
don't.
to. I'd rather watch a movie in my basement.
I get that. And I feel uncomfortable at them also, especially premieres. The parties were all right. I don't go to them anymore. Because you can sort of control and hide, and you do the carpet and then you run away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But premieres, you're sort of locked in. And I feel like when I go to premieres, I'm being watched watching somebody else's, you're being watched watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't feel comfortable. But if it's somebody who I love, obviously I have to go to that stuff. And I hate doing it, but I will. Like, I had to go to all of the Twilight movies because I'm friends with Nikki Reed, like all of the premieres.
Inside of You is brought to you by Qualia Mind. Guys, this stuff really freaking works. My mother, I sent some to my mother thinking, I need a miracle here. I need, she's kind of scatterbrained and, all this. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to send it to her because I was using this stuff before they were a sponsor and I really like it. And I was like, let's see what happens. I wish I saved the message that my mother left me. I might have her leave another one, but that would seem, artificial. But, she was like, Michael, I can think clearly. I feel like I'm focused. She had more energy. She just felt like, I don't know, like together, I felt like she was getting things done. Our sponsor, Qualia, combines 28 of the most research-backed nootropic ingredients on Earth into the ultimate brain fuel formula, Qualia Mind. And it's been changing people's lives like my mother for years now.
The formula is non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, and the ingredients are meant to complement one another, factoring in each ingredient's effect on helping to support mental clarity.
And check this out, Ryan. It's backed by a 100-day money-back guarantee. I mean, you'll have almost 3 months to try Qualia Mind at no financial risk and decide for yourself. Get this stuff. I mean, that's confidence in a company. When they say that, and it works, so they should be confident. See what the best brain fuel formula on earth can do for your mindset. Go to qualialife.com/IOU for up to $100 off Qualia Mind. And as a listener of Inside of You, use code IOU at checkout for an additional 15% off any purchase. For your convenience, Qualia Mind is also available at select GNC locations near you.
That's qualialife.com/IOU and use code IOU for an additional 15% off to experience life-changing mental performance from Qualia Mind.
These statements and products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. And now it's time for the J.C. Penney Make It Count moment. This week's Make It Count moment is sponsored by J.C. Penney. In a world where things change as fast as the seasons, J.C. Penney is there to help make fashion count for everybody and everybody. The moment we wanted to make sure counted to you was DJ Qualls discussing crafting his own appearance, sharing who he really is, and overcoming depression.
Because so much of my life I've had to be this thing. To sort of survive in Hollywood, and people, I wanted people to sort of know who I really am, and also know that like everything that you thought about me, I had a hand in, and so because I was doing it for effect, because I needed that, those studio pictures were my bread and butter, and I was making money on them, and I taught you how to see me, and now I want to show you who I really am.
Did you ever deal with a lot of depression, anxiety?
So I have that. For me, and I think for a lot of people, the decision to go in to talk about it is hard to do. Making that decision, because when you're in the throes of anxiety or depression, it feels so bad. And then when you're out of it, it feels so good to not feel that you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's a cycle that a lot of people get into. A lot of people also, when they're going through things and then get on an antidepressant, feel so good being on it that they stop taking it because they think they don't need it. And that is the cycle of mental health. And we don't talk about a lot of these things. And we keep saying there's no stigma in it. But of course there is, because so many people have come forward, then now other people are doing this. Well, does everybody have this?
Thanks again to JCPenney, the fall destination for the latest trends, budget-friendly fashion, and beauty products. Shop JCPenney in-store or online. JCPenney. Make it count. What was it like auditioning? How many auditions did you have for Hustle and Flow?
I didn't audition for Hustle and Flow.
You just got it.
Uh-huh. I was offered Scary Movie 2 for a lot of money, but the character had to suck his own dick, and my manager thought I'm not the kind of guy that could suck his own dick and walk away from it. He's right. I probably could now, but I couldn't then.
You have that flexibility?
Yeah. No, but I definitely have tried.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a man alive who hasn't tried.
Yeah, right.
Come on now.
Never mind. But yeah, so you didn't audition.
No.
I tend to think that is sometimes harder because you're not exactly sure what you're going to do. Whereas if you do an audition, they're like, that's it.
There are times when I've had that experience. I don't read a lot.
Still?
Yeah, I mean, because now I do this. Now the stuff.
You know what I can do.
Yeah. And it's not that. It's like most of the things, if you aren't going to pay me, I need to understand why I need to do this. That is a big deal for me at this point in my life. Tell me why I should do this. And because all the auditions especially have moved to taped, I feel like if I'm going to give my time to something, the director should give me the courtesy of being present.
Good for you.
And I also feel like the audition process has been used against us to try to get us cheaper. Like they'll make you think that there's you and 12 other guys in the running for this, and sometimes there's not. And they'll ask you to read to then they were always going to give you this part. And then just to make your pay less. That's happened to me many times. And twice it's happened to me where I was asked to read for something and I read it. I'm like, this is definitely within my wheelhouse. And I don't feel like I should have to prove myself for this.
Yeah.
And the pay is not great. And then they have come back and offered it to me directly because they were told to offer it to me by the director or the executive producer.
Exactly.
Like Man in the High Castle was that way. They asked me to read for that show. And
you were in that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch that. Should I watch it?
It's not the best.
How many episodes you do?
I did all of them. Well, I did all the first 3 seasons and asked to be released for my contract.
That's a huge show.
Yeah. I do big shit. I'm DJ Qualls, motherfucker.
I'm DJ. When you went on set for Hustle and Flow, were you nervous?
No. Because it was Tennessee, and I'm from Tennessee.
Who was the lead?
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard. How was he to work with?
Terrence.
Intense.
I love him. But he's intense. Like he told me that Satan put dinosaur bones into the earth's crust to make us doubt God's existence. And then I laughed about it and he got mad. I thought he was joking. That was a little too on the nose for me that day. But
he was mad at you.
Yeah. But I loved making the movie because it was a pure filmmaking experience. We didn't have any money. The houses that we used in Memphis, we purchased for like $15,000. We got to, record those songs like in the studio that we made on camera.
Were you blown away when you saw it put together?
It's one of the only things I've ever been able to watch with a crowd. I was sitting in the screening at Sundance, and we wound up winning. And I was there, and I felt this enormous sense of pride. And also, I'd done that movie for $10,000 and turned down almost $2 million.
Did you make money residually?
No, and that's the other thing. So that's a sore spot. So John Singleton, may he rest in peace, did not pay us our back end, and it set a price for the highest. And Terrence has been very vocal about this. So the only time.
Why don't you sue?
Because then you're an actor who's sued.
So what?
I know, but I don't want that experience. I don't. I think it was like $300,000, honestly, but I don't want that experience. And it was a pure filmmaking experience for me. And I'm glad that I did it. And I just don't want the heartache of having to go through all that and have that be tainted. there are very few points in my career where I can look at and the whole thing was just magic from start to finish.
Magic.
And it was magic.
Loved that movie.
Like I went $30,000
yeah.
in debt for that. I mean, like in publicity debt. And going to Sundance, people don't realize that shit's not free. You have to pay for all of that. The movie's not sold. There's no studio, so you have to pay $10,000 to rent a house because your hair and makeup people have to come. You're doing live feeds to CNN at 2:00 in the morning.
It costs you money.
It costs you money, and then you have to hire a publicist because there is no publicist, and all of this stuff has to be done. And I mean, a lot of the business is set up to take money from us. I mean, of course it is.
I could tell you stories.
A lot of the business is parasitic. And
did you save your money?
Like a motherfucker, I did.
I always felt like this is my last job.
I couldn't believe it. I remember saying,
so you're good. You save your money.
I don't have to work anymore.
You don't dip in your savings.
I don't. And
amen.
But I remember being out here and my buddies were buying like $2 million houses. I'm like, how can you afford that? I make more than you. Like our salaries are public knowledge. Like, how can you do that? And a lot of those houses went by the wayside. But there's an opposite extreme that I lived in a rent-controlled one-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica for 10 years, like at the height of my earning. And that was a little too far. There was a hole in the bathroom floor of the flattened box and a rock. People would come to the house and be like, "This, is everything okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just..." And then
renovating.
And then Alfre once told me I act like I was born in the Great Depression. She was like, "You're doing fine, right?" I'm like, "I'm more than fine." But I waited to buy my house until I could pay for it.
Amen. That's the way to do it.
Because I knew that.
I did too. I waited till third season was announced for Smallville, and that's when I bought this house.
I knew that it would be somewhere in the world I could always go to no matter what. I mean, that's a little bit too survivalist, I think, because I was there for about 5 years longer than I should have been. But now I'm financially, I mean, it wouldn't be a great life. And also I would be bored if I didn't do anything. But I couldn't do whatever I want. And that's my main goal, my main career goal at this point is at 70, I don't have to look at menu prices. I really don't. That would be a gut punch to me after all of this. But
although I walked out of a restaurant in Italy because we were just going for lunch and it was right after the thing. We were kind of tired. We were on a tour and the driver, I was like, I had a driver drive us back to, we were in Positano, but I go, "We just want to get some food. I'm just hungry, just something quick." And he made this reservation. And we walked into this place and they have, "Oh, we're going to taste some wine." I'm like, "Okay, what the fuck is this? I want a fucking pizza."
Yeah, I hate that.
And then I sat down and we looked at the menu and I was like, "This is a sit down. We're going to be here we're in shorts. We look sweaty." I just got up and I said, "Hey, here's $20 for the free drink. This isn't for us right now. We're not ready."
You should do that.
I did. I didn't want to spend $400 or $500 on freaking lunch. I wanted a pizza.
Right.
And so the driver was embarrassed. "Don't be embarrassed, man. You thought I was richer than I am."
I mean, that's also I don't do that. I don't have a strong food drive, and so spending that kind of money on food is ridiculous to me. Although I did just spend $450 on a meal because it was my friend's birthday. My podcast co-host Kelly. Happy birthday, Kelly!
Yes, Lock and Probably Loaded.
Yeah,
Supernatural podcast.
No, it's general. It's the place because so much of my life I've had to be this thing to sort of survive in Hollywood and people, I wanted people to sort of know who I really am and also know that like everything that you thought about me I had a hand in, like and so because I was doing it for effect because I needed that, those studio pictures were my bread and butter and I was making money on them and I taught you how to see me and now I want to show you who I really am. And so it's not formatted,
cool.
And the response has been amazing.
Do you have guests?
Not yet.
I want to be a guest.
Absolutely.
I'd love to be a guest.
But it's this community that sprung up around it has been pretty dope. Right now it's paying for itself. And
great.
Yeah, it's really, really, really cool. And I'm excited about it. It's everywhere that you listen to podcasts, Locked and Probably Loaded with DJ and Kelly.
Did you ever deal with a lot of depression, anxiety?
So I have that and I still struggle with it.
Do you take anything?
So I was on an antidepressant for 4 months years ago because I was depressed for 2 years and didn't realize it, but I got to a place where I could not get out of bed. When I was doing
Been
All
there.
About Steve with Sandra Bullock, we were shooting at night. I had to hire somebody to come live with me, to wake me up, to get me out of bed, to go. And I didn't understand what it was.
Anxiety and
Yeah,
depression.
yeah, because it happened so gradually and I didn't know my triggers and warning signs, the sinking feeling, and it happened.
Just always being tired.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, you're in it, and you can't remember what it's like to feel otherwise, and that's when it gets
and
dangerous.
scary.
It gets dangerous when it's the lack of hope. When hope goes, when you get no burst of feeling anymore.
No endorphins.
Yeah, people kill themselves because you don't feel anything. So then it becomes painful to be alive. And I've been there a couple of times. I have Klonopin for anxiety but it's basically behind an imaginary wall of glass with a hammer break in case of emergency. Sometimes I can talk myself out of it just by knowing that I have it. And the dosage that is prescribed is ridiculous. I take 1/4 milligram. They say take 1 milligram twice a day. I would be sleeping all the time. It's psychosomatic.
Right.
Because none of this stuff is real. It's your brain panicking and giving you false messages and survival mechanisms and adrenaline rush. And
Although I am on antidepressants for about a year and a half, wouldn't you see a big difference? Do you honestly see a big difference, Ryan? Yeah, I notice a big difference. I'm not overwhelmed by everything.
Yeah.
I take things in stride more. I'm not freaking out. I'm not stressing myself out. My depression, I'm not going to bed. I'm taking naps constantly. It's a lot better. So it's really helped me. And, I exercise, but I think I've talked about this, riddled with anxiety since I was a young boy. And I just thought that's who I am. And then I realized, wait, this is no way to live. And my body just couldn't take it anymore. As the older you get, it kind of says, no, we can't be in this fight or flight all the time. And so it's really changed my life in the last year and a half. And I feel like I'm a better person. I'm just more even keel. I don't freak out about things as much. I still get anxiety a little bit and still, think about things.
I'm all for that. And it's just, for me, and I think for a lot of people, the decision to go in to talk about it is hard to do. Making that decision, because when you're in the throes of anxiety or depression, it feels so bad. And then when you're out of it, it feels so good to not feel that you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's a cycle that a lot of people get into. A lot of people also, when they're going through things and then get on an antidepressant, feel so good being on it that they stop taking it because they think they don't need it. And that is the cycle of mental health. And we don't talk about a lot of these things. And we keep saying there's no stigma in it. But of course there is, because so many people have come forward, then now other people are doing this. Well, does everybody have this? Maybe they do. Maybe everybody does have it.
I think everybody has issues that they need to talk about, that it's healthier if you talk about. Like one of my big sponsors is BetterHelp. And people love it. People have thanked me at places because, sometimes it's too hard to go in to see someone. And this is like online, and you can change your therapist anytime. So it's like, and just, I think we get bottled up with so many thoughts and so many obsessions.
Yeah, what do you do first?
If we can get it out of our system, it's only going to help. I have dogs. You have dogs?
No, I don't. I travel so much.
Just holding them releases endorphins.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I had a dog, and he used to be able to travel with me, but when he passed, first of all, I still feel like I'm cheating on him, even though it's been years. Because the loss of that was profoundly painful.
Terrible.
And it's one of the worst hurts of my life still.
Yeah.
But I love dogs, and I love children. Neither one of those things I should be having right now at this stage of my life, because I'm gone all the time.
Right.
I was talking to my partner Ty about getting a dog, and he was like, "Nope,
oh, you have a partner?
Yeah,
you live with someone?
No, he lives in Canada. I met him.
Perfect.
He's a Supernatural actor.
Wait, what's his name?
Ty Olson.
Yeah,
he's my partner.
I think I've met Ty Olson.
Yeah, he's great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we've been best friends for years and years and years, and then now we're getting married.
What?
It just changed. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Does everybody know about this?
Everybody knows about it.
Great.
So it became a giant deal. Poor guy. I casually mentioned it for 2 minutes on the podcast, because I actually did an episode that was sort of talking about sort of like a sliding doors. I turned down Supernatural when it was offered to me because I had just come off a movie. I was exhausted. They said, "Do you want to go to Canada to shoot Supernatural on Thursday?" And it was Monday. I'm like, "No, I don't.
No,
I don't want to go anywhere. I'm exhausted." And then they got back to me and said they wrote it for me. And I'm like, "Oh, you bastards." And appealing to my ego. I see we've met.
Was there a lot of dialogue?
It was a lot of
Are
dialogue.
you good with dialogue?
I am, but I am really good with dialogue. I can remember things pretty quickly, but it starts to leak out of my ears after like 2 hours rapidly.
So you forget, so you have to read your lines to actors.
So I do this. Hey guys. No, but I will hurry people up. I'm like, if you keep making these camera adjustments and lighting cues,
I'm going to blow my lines.
We're going to be fucked at some point in the near future, especially when it's a ton of dialogue.
Yeah.
Or if it's
know what you want.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah. Or if I say something 6 times on camera and we're going again, I will, hey, can you tell me how this is sounding in your brain? I have no problem with a line reading. A lot of times it's like this. I know last night when you were in the mirror saying these lines to yourself, that's how it sounded to you, but that would look ridiculous coming out of my face. Let me show you what. I won't do it on camera, but I'll show you. I'll do this. And I'll say it. And I'm like, oh my God, that is wrong. I'm like, it's dead wrong. One good thing about growing up completely sort of horrified by your being is that I'm hyper aware of it and how it presents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're overcritical too.
Yeah. I'm overcritical. I can't watch anything.
Yeah. You work with assholes ever?
I've worked with some assholes. I've worked with some people who were not well. Some actors who weren't well. The majority of the actors I worked with, I really liked a lot. But I had a director on Man in the High Castle who had done some Game of Thrones. And it was like right when Game of Thrones was the thing. And I was a series regular on the show. And at the time, it was the second most expensive show ever produced behind Game of Thrones.
Right.
So of course they're going to get this guy. This guy shows up and he's rough talking everybody, like rough talking my hair and makeup people.
Fly.
I don't like it. And I get so angry by it. And so I would always get him at the end of the day. And he would spend 7 hours shooting people walking down the street. And then I would get him for a critical scene and he would to take me, right? Or just be really on me about something.
So you said something to him.
So he did this thing where he was rough talking everybody. And I kept saying, I'm going to have to talk to this guy. I'll pull him aside. And I asked the cameraman, a camera operator who was my buddy, who's there every week, something. And the director came over to me in the middle of the take and did this. You know why you're not more successful? Do you know why you're not a bigger actor? You don't listen. You should talk to me. I'm the guy. Do you know the hierarchy here? Went on to me, and I tried to talk it down, and then I lost my mind. Producers were called to
What'd you
at
say?
3:00 in the morning.
Fuck
I called
you.
him a low rent midget asshole. I said the reason why he acted like that is that he was 4 feet tall, and he was a guest in our yard, and he was treating people like shit, and you can't do that, and you will not talk to my crew like that, and you certainly won't fucking talk to me like
Was
that.
he better after that?
No, he escalated it. So
He wanted to hit you?
he got aggressive, and then I heard him. So it was like this thing where we would separate and then something would happen and we would come back together like two fighting dogs. This has never happened before.
And
since,
never
by
got
the
along
way.
with him at all.
No. And so I heard him say at the monitor, and Ty, interesting enough, Ty said he also had a problem with this guy years before this. And so I heard him say at the monitor to his assistant, well, the next time I'm back here, I'll do this. And then I came from the doors of the stage. Oh, motherfucker, you're not coming back. You will never be back here ever again. You've treated everyone here so poorly.
And they grabbed you?
Yeah.
They said, okay.
No, they actually, people clapped about
When
it.
people push you, that's the thing.
I couldn't believe I was capable of that. But this
I hate authority. When people are not, it's not that it's authority, but when they're condescending and they're like you're a piece of meat, that's when it happens.
But also, you can't yell at people who can't defend themselves. The big component in this was not what he said to me. I just been seeing him do this. And then in that moment when he did it to me, I was like embarrassed the fact that I hadn't spoken up sooner because that's how they've been feeling all week long and have no way to talk about it. So I only spoke up when it happened to me and I was aware of it. So all that flooded through me at the same moment.
But you know why you stuck up with them? Because you also were thinking of that inner child too.
Yeah, of course.
You want them to be
You
heard.
rarely get past that.
No.
It's hard. And some of that, I think it's good. It can be harnessed in the right way. If it limits you, that's wrong. But a lot of that early trauma and a lot of the stuff that happens to you can be turned around and give you compassion.
Yes. Inside of You is brought to you by Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And I've been using Shopify for many, many years. You know, it doesn't matter what size your business is, small, medium, large. It's like those bears. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like porridge. But it's so important with Shopify. I had no idea selling my products from the podcast, how easy it would be to navigate. I'm not really good with that stuff, but it's really so simple. It's all there. You could check your products that are doing really well. You can see what's not selling. If you have a new product, you just upload a picture and you put, I have a little scale, Ryan, that I can weigh things. Oh, this weighs 9 ounces. Okay. And I'm going to charge this much. And I put a description and it's done. And I see all my products. I can check everything. I see how everything's doing. It's so easy to use Shopify and I just love it. And I've been using it. And thank you, Shopify.
So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between.
Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/inside, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/inside to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/inside. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I talk about how therapy helps all of us out there. And I think the stigmatism of going to therapy has changed in the last few years. And people are starting to realize that we all need someone to listen to. And there are things that get bottled up and things that you need to talk about. We need to talk about. So I have a lot of friends. I know Ryan here uses BetterHelp and so many people out there. And so I hope you give therapy a chance. Think of a time recently when you didn't feel like you could be your full self, like you were hiding behind a mask. October is the season for wearing masks and costumes, but some of us feel like we wear a mask and hide more often than we want to at work, in social settings, around our family. Therapy can help you learn to accept all parts of yourself so you can take off the mask, because masks should be for Halloween fun, not for our emotions. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you are thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. If you don't like your therapist, switch them. It's easy. I know people think about that a lot. Like, what do I do? It's easy. Visit betterhelp.com/inside today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/inside. What's your favorite project you've worked on? If you had to guess one.
Legit, 100%. I did a show with Jim Jeffries called Legit.
I loved it.
It was the best thing I've ever done.
Yes, he
most
talked
creative,
about it when he was on the podcast.
and the lowest wage I've ever made as an actor doing anything.
And you just did one season?
And two.
Two.
I went into my savings.
He was depressed that
every
didn't
year.
Continue.
It broke our hearts. And the president of the network afterward, years later, said that it was a personality conflict between us and I think our creator, one of our creators. And it had nothing to do with the show. And then to prove to us who was the boss, they moved us to FXX, which used to be like Forbes HD or some shit like
I
that.
remember.
You couldn't flip past it. And we died. And then we were canceled. And it was such a creative show. And I was playing a guy with advanced stage muscular dystrophy.
Right.
And before it came out, I got a lot of shit because I'm playing a disease I don't have. They had auditioned people with muscular dystrophy, but they couldn't do it because of the hours. But when it came out and they saw what I did, I got this outpouring of love and started talking to people directly. And most of those kids have passed because the life expectancy isn't great.
Yeah.
And I was playing a guy who was right there at the end of his life. And it was sad because we didn't get to finish that story.
I know. Yeah, Jim was so upset by it. Who is your idol? And this could be a two-parter, but who's your favorite actor as well? Like my idol's my grandfather. I love
Oh,
him.
my idol's my grandpa.
Yeah,
too.
he was
my papa.
He was unbelievable. But your favorite actor?
Oh God, I love my grandfather so much. I did Hollywood Medium, and I talked to him, and I'm such a skeptic, but there's no way this kid could have known all this stuff.
I want to go.
Oh, you have to. It is life changing. I have such a profound
They
fear
had
of
to
death.
know
and
you, though.
There's no way this kid could have known these things.
He looked online.
It's not available. There's something I kept inside of me. I found my grandfather dead. He was born in the Depression. He had diabetes and his medication made him feel bad.
Right, right.
I found a pickle jar full of pills at the back of his closet that I hid under newspaper and put at the bottom of the dumpster. I've never mentioned that to a living soul. This kid says this to me. So I think that the wise tact to take with this is like, I don't know anything. I've not died.
You're blown away by this.
Yeah, but I have not died yet. So all the things I think I know about anything it's all bullshit. Like thinking that somebody else, what they think is bullshit. None of us have had this experience yet. So here's what it did. It made me know that I don't know anything. But I know that I was comforted by this and I was told things I'd never spoken to anyone about. And my grandpa was just my absolute fucking hero. I love that guy.
I could see you getting a little emotional.
Yeah, he
from
was
it.
the
I love
best.
it. I felt the same way. He was the only one who listened to me, who talked to me, who I would just want to hear him tell stories. Yeah. I just wanted to be around him, and he used to take the time with me that nobody ever took. He had the patience with me. If it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd ever make it past high school. There's no fucking
that
way.
Foundation of love you will always go back to
he
and
used to
feel.
write me letters.
Oh, that's
like,
amazing.
I just want you to know that your grandmother and I are thinking about you, and we think about you often. And I have these letters from him, handwritten letters. Yeah, he was something else. But who's your favorite actor?
Stanley Tucci probably is my favorite actor. I've
Really?
worked with him twice. I like him as a man too, but Richard Jenkins has a special place in my life because there's no mentoring in this business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I was doing the Corps, we were shooting on an aircraft carrier we were like 500 miles off the coast of Mexico because they were being deployed, and we were filming, and then we were going to be, jetted off, and that's what we did. But I left twice to go promote a movie that was coming out. And I didn't know my lines, and I looked like shit. And Richard Jenkins took me to dinner in the mess hall and on the ship and said, "You look like shit. You don't know your lines. You need to start saying no to people because you've agreed to this." And that had never occurred to me. I was still going from that.
Was he nice about it?
Amazing. He was so fatherly about it.
Aww.
And because he could see that I was deer in headlights. Everything that I had ever dreamed about was happening in real time to me. And my mind was being blown left, right, and center. I was making money.
And your agents were going to tell you that?
No. And also they don't understand the fatigue of it. It's
exhausting.
And the fact that I was working all day and then on a whole day, I was being flown off the boat to go to Chicago to promote the film live, like in person. And I didn't realize that you just do this. I'll do this after I finish this movie because I've agreed to this. But here's what it taught me. Every day on set is my opus because I said I would be there. Every time I see something got canceled, I get sad for the 2 years of creativity that went into that. I understand what it takes to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to, I've had bad days on sets, but not willfully.
You've had days where you just couldn't get a line out.
Well, yeah, it happens. And
Do you get embarrassed?
Extremely embarrassed.
You feel shame?
Of course. I guested on a show called Perception, and I got really sick during the day, and my body just started shutting down. I couldn't get a cell phone into an evidence bag and say 5 lines. They had to feed me that. They edited it so beautifully, but I was released from work. I was so embarrassed. They released me from work. I fell asleep at the traffic light on the way home. My body was shutting down rapidly.
But
then they asked me back 5 more times because
you were fine those times.
Yeah, killed it because they knew I wasn't trying to phone anything in. Like they saw me disintegrate in front of them. I've worked for years, and that is, I think, a beautiful thing. And as much as I will bitch about things that I don't like about the entertainment business, there is, I think, as much pettiness. I found altruism and respect and love. I found a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's there.
It is there. And I think you get it if you give it. And I am this way 100% of the time. Like, I don't pretend to ever be anything that I'm not. The first time I was on the Tonight Show, Jay was like, so what's it like to be in the movies? And it was my first movie. And this is what I said. This actor is mean. And
you said the actor's name?
Yes.
What was the actor's name?
Breckenmeyer. He was mean to me.
He was?
Yeah.
Have you made up since then?
Of course we have. But it was childhood, it was kid shit, young actor shit. I didn't do it. But the movie was told, he was pitched him as his vehicle.
What movie?
Road Trip. And I blew up from it. And he just was not kind to me. And he knows he wasn't. And we've dealt with that. But I said it on the Tonight Show. And they were like, you can't do that. And I did. This is what my response. If I don't do that, if I try to pretend that I look like all of these people and I am one of these people, I'm going to be laughed out of this town. I have to always be this. I'm them. I'm doing this. These motherfuckers are crazy. Or look at all this money they're giving me. I can't believe
Call
this.
it out.
And I still can't believe it. But now it's part of me. But there are all the times I'm like, look at what's going on here.
Good for you. Good for you, man.
You can't lose yourself. You're
No.
still that person.
You
And the
better lose yourself in the moment.
I do lose myself in the moment.
So many movies. New Guy, Road Trip, The Core, shows, Breaking Bad, Supernatural, Scrubs, Lost, CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, Z Nation, The Man in the High Castle, Hustle and Flow. It's like such a great career. You've done so much. You're such a great guy, and I hope you can have continued success and do what you love. Keep doing that. I mean, so many things you've done, and you've got this podcast, Locked and Probably Loaded.
Locked and Probably Loaded with DJ and Kelly.
With DJ and Kelly, where they can find that anywhere they can find that.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Listen to it if you like listening to this guy today, who's simply amazing.
Thank you so much, brother. I had a great time with you.
Yeah, dude, this is so good. Ryan,
Why London?
why London?
I want to go all the way back there.
Oh, I went to college in England because it was far away from the South. It was in a book and they spoke English. So I just found a college in a book and applied and got in. I wrote the most manipulative letter ever. I was like, I am a gay child from Appalachia whose father works in a casket factory and I had cancer. I think you should let me in. And they did.
Casket factory?
Yeah, my father was a welder in a casket factory. In Manchester, Tennessee, the major industry is casket making. It's the #2 casket producer in the United States behind Batesville, Arkansas.
I think in Indiana, where I grew up, they built the largest.
Is that Bates?
Caskets.
That also, I think, is Batesville.
Maybe it's it's because there's a lot of obese people.
Yeah. Oh, the largest ones.
Largest ones.
Oh, right.
Because I think we were the #1 city in obesity like 10 years ago, which is incredible.
Yeah. That's a hard.
Yeah. Well, at least we made the news.
Yeah.
So
I've never been to Indiana. I'm going for the first time. I'm going to Indianapolis.
Oh, nice.
This at the end of the summer.
Nice. So you're going to be at cons. They can go to your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
At DJ Qualls, and my Twitter is the only DJ Qualls because somebody else was me and I couldn't get the name back.
That's a problem.
Yeah, and he was doing things like, I'm taking a bubble bath, and who wants to go shopping with me, and all the things I hate. I hate baths. I am a shower guy.
I don't like
You will
baths
never
either.
get me into a hot tub. It's like a tub of ass soup.
Oh, I not a bathtub, but I do like a jacuzzi
I don't.
and a cold plunge.
I don't like sweating. No, I don't want to sweat with people I know.
That's why you smelled so good when you walked in.
Yeah, I'm really worried about that.
Breath and hygiene
are
are
huge.
Like I could be so turned on by someone and then their breath, I get a whiff of it.
People have to floss.
And I'm out. Floss your teeth.
Exactly.
Thank you, DJ Qualls, for being here.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic guy. Thank you, DJ. Thank you for being over at the house and talking about things that I didn't know. And it was, you're interesting, man. You're really interesting. And I love how honest you are. And I think it will help a lot of people. So thank you. And, what would this podcast be without the patrons? So we got to thank them. And we're about to do the shout outs. So thank you. Join patreon.com/inside of you and support the show so we can keep going. And I could pay guys like Ryan and Bryce and Jason, my wonderful editor. And we love them. And it's a family, isn't it, Ryan?
It is. It's a nice little family.
It really is. It's like everybody's cool. It's easy. It's fun. It's like, it's
just 4 dudes hanging out remotely.
just 4 dudes. 4 dudes remotely. That should be a movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, here are the shout outs. Join patreon.com/inside of you. And the shout outs are Nancy D, Little Lisa, Yukiko, Jill E, Brian H, Nico P, Rob L, Jason W, Sophie M, Raj She, Jennifer N, Stacy L.
Jamal F, Janelle B, Mike L Duns, Primo 99 more, Santiago M, Leanne P, Maddie S, Kendrick F, Belinda N, Dave H,
Dave Ho.
Brad D,
Hello,
Ray H,
Dave Ho. Hello, Dave.
Tabitha T, Tom N, Talia M, Betsy D.
Betsy D, so lovely talking to you. It was a good catch up. Rhiannon C, like the moon tonight. And then there's Corey K and Dev Nixon, Michelle A, Jeremy C, Mr. M, Eugene and Leah, the salty ham, Mel S, Eric H, Oracle, Amanda R, William K, Kevin E, Jor L, Jam and J, Leanne J.
Luna R, Mike F, Jules M, Jessica B, Kaylee J, Charlene A, Mary Louise L, Romeo the Band, Frank B, Jen T, Nikki L, April R M,
Randy S, Claudia, Rachel D, Jen Carolina Girl, Nick W, Stephanie and Evan or
Stefan.
correct. Charlene A, Don G, Jenny B76, Jennifer R, Tina E, NG Tracy, Keith B, Heather and Greg, Ellie K, Elizabeth L, Ben B, Jammin, Pierre C, Sultan, Ingrid C, Brandon C, Ms. Lex Luther, Mrs. Jesse J. And I think that does it. Thank you from the Hollywood Hills in Hollywood, California. I'm Michael Rosenbaum.
I'm Ryan Taylor.
Little wave for the camera. We love you. Be good to yourself. See you next week.